Hi, this is Barry Brown at the University of Montana Mansfield Library talking about finding ecology-related information. Typically we start off at the library webpage, but today I want to talk about Google Scholar. Google Scholar is a great index for peer-reviewed journal articles. It's not perfect. There is no one perfect index. If there was, that would make things a lot simpler. But in addition to Web of Science and potentially PubMed or Wildlife and Ecology Studies Worldwide, Google Scholar is an excellent resource to check for journal articles. So the way to get to it, if I use it very much, I'm probably going to know its URL and I can just put it in directly up here. If I forget that, I could Google it. So I would put in Google Scholar. It's an easy URL to remember. It is scholar.google.com. If I'm using Google Scholar on the university network, then I'm ready to go. If I'm coming into Google Scholar from off campus, then I would suggest you always start with going to Settings. And if I click on Settings, I'm going to come over here to Library Links, and I'm going to put in University of Montana. And that's going to identify potential links to articles for University of Montana. So in particular, I want the University of Montana link to article. I also want WorldCat. So they're already marked because I'm on campus, but that's what I would do if I was off campus. And then that way, I'm going to have links to the journal articles which require university affiliation. Most literature still costs money to access, and the great thing about libraries is that they provide that access for you, so take advantage of that. Only about 20% of science information is open access right now by my calculation. That's changing and it's increasing. Lots of money involved with access to information. The library has a very large budget for collections, and so again, take advantage of that. Okay, I'm on campus, so I'm ready to put in my search. My topic is the effect of how climate change is expected to impact Western Montana ecosystems. So I could put in that whole phrase, but it's going to be more effective to concentrate on the most important keywords. Climate change is certainly an important part of my search. And then Western Montana ecosystems is the other important part of my search. I'm not going to have all the perfect keywords right away, but whatever I have, I start out with. And then I'm going to look at the best results. I'm going to notice words that are related to my topic. I might do some other just general Google searching to find related terms, but it's an iterative process. I'm going to improve my search as I add new terms and test them on databases. Okay, so I sent this search. Google Scholar indexes thousands of peer-reviewed journals. It also sometimes provides results from government documents, some conferences, but primarily it's peer-reviewed journal articles. So in some sense, it's a competitor to Web of Science in that it's giving me those peer-reviewed articles. It's also presenting results in a relevance algorithm combined with the most cited articles. So it's giving me the most cited combined with the most relevant in its own kind of algorithmic presentation. So some of these look pretty good for my topic, and I'm happy with that, and this might be the end of my search. And because I'm on campus, I see the links to articles. So when I see a good result, I can click on the link, and hopefully that'll take me right into the article. If it doesn't, I may try some other pathways to that article, but in this case, it took me right into the journal site. And now I'm looking at the abstract, and I can click into the PDF. So again, I'm going to read this article, get what I can out of it, and then I'm going to look at its bibliography. That will expand my search, and again, that takes me back in time. But if this is an important article for my topic, then I can also look at those studies that have cited this since it came out. So this research came out or was published in 2010. If I click on Cited By, this will take me to some other papers that have come out since then. And that may give me some very good new relevant papers, and it takes me forward in time. So by reading the paper and going to its bibliography, I can go back in time. By looking at who's citing it, I can go forwards in time. And both of those techniques will expand my search. Okay, so we talked about getting into the article. If I want to grab the citation, if I click on Cite, then the citation is transformed with three common styles. And so maybe this is all I need. Maybe I'm going to take the APA version or the Chicago version, although there's two versions of Chicago. One is author date, one is notes bibliography. Author date is more the science version, and this particular version that Google Scholar is using is notes bibliography, so I'm not very happy with that. I would not want that one for most science classes, but I could always copy it and then manipulate it and into the right style. I can also throw it into a citation management program such as RefWorks or EndNote by clicking on that link. If I had RefWorks up and running, it would have gone directly in. If I don't have it up and running, it'll prompt me to log in with my account. If I don't have an account, I could create one. I should also mention that if you want to improve this search or experiment with this search, besides adding different words or potentially using quotes around your terms, like climate change could have quotes to make sure it's a phrase, Western Montana could have quotes, I can also go into the advanced search, which is this downward arrow over on the right-hand side of the search box. And so I could experiment with a variety of these fields, all the words, exact phrase, at least one of these words. That's kind of ORing it together. With Google Scholar, I can't use the kind of search terms that I use in Web of Science. I can't use the OR. I can't use the wildcard character for stemming words. So I have to experiment and see what works best. In this particular database, maybe I would say, okay, I want the exact phrase, climate change. And again, I would experiment with the plural, climate changes. I want that phrase, and I want at least one of these words. I want Montana, or I want Glacier National Park, because an awful lot of climate research is done there, and it's in western Montana. Maybe I would also put in something like Northern Rockies. By using the quotes, I'm kind of forcing this phrase to be treated as a single word. So climate changes will be in my results along with either Montana or Glacier National Park. And I get different results. They may or may not be as good as the last ones. You'll have to experiment and see. Looks like some of these are paleo things that I probably would not be interested in, but some of these look of interest for my topic. Your results will vary with your different keywords and the way you input them. Once I have a search that looks reasonable, and I've used Google Scholar and done what I want with it, notice I can also sort very crudely. It's giving me that relevance sort along with highest cited. I could sort by date, but usually that works pretty well. At this point, I could take my terms that I used in that advanced search. I could take those terms, I could go to just Google itself, and I could throw those terms in by copying and pasting. And now I'm searching websites if I'm using Google. And so I can use my best search statement from Google Scholar and throw it into Google. And now I'm looking at websites. Here's a Scientific American article. Here's a .org site, so some kind of nonprofit organization in the U.S. It looks like National Wildlife Federation. Here's a commercial site, maybe a news article from Reuters, it looks like. Here's something from MSU, montana.edu. I'm looking at a variety of websites, and I could gather that information. I could also then cycle on to Google Books by using the More tab and going into Books. And now I'm looking at Google Books, which is about 20 million plus book. It's not as comprehensive as WorldCat, but I'm searching the full text of the whole book. So that's going to give me more results than WorldCat, even though there's not as many things in Google Books. So the nice thing about this is I see some of my search terms highlighted, and I can often see part of the book. Preview typically gives me about 20% of the book online, or 70 pages. Snippet is just the citation. Occasionally I'll have the full text. It all depends on copyright. So as I go down through my results, if I see something that looks of interest, here's the changing alpine tree line. If I click into it and it says that there's a preview, again, my search terms are highlighted. I can read pages often before and after my search, which is helpful. And if I think this is a worthwhile book, what I'm going to want to do is come over here to the left and look for Find in a Library. This particular book is an ebook. Increasingly, Google is trying to sell me ebooks. So what I'm going to want to do is click on Get This Book in Print, and now I see the Find in a Library link. That's going to take me into the most comprehensive index for books, which is WorldCat. This is the book that I found in Google Books. I'm now in WorldCat, and I've got the full citation. And I could email myself that citation, or I could cite it, and I could use these common citation styles. Here's Chicago author date. That's a science style. And so with that author date, I could copy and paste that into a bibliography, or I could throw this citation into RefWorks or EndNote. And so down here, export to RefWorks, and that's going to throw that information into RefWorks. If I've got RefWorks up and running, it would go directly in. If I don't, then the RefWorks screen comes up and I have to sign in, or if I don't have to have an account, I would create a new account. I can also, if I'm on campus, I can search the University of Montana Library catalog directly from this record and see if we have it in our collection. And it looks like we do, so that would be an easy way to get it. I could go over to the library with that call number. I could text myself the call number and go to the 5th floor. Theoretically, it's sitting on the shelf, or I could click hold and I would get an email from the library when it's retrieved and available for me to walk up to the shelf and check it out. Okay, so we just talked about Google Scholar and then cycling through Google and Google Books. Good luck finding information related to your ecology topic.